it's like a bottomless pit sometimes. You can do so much work and so make so many notes. By the time you work with your actors, you don't use them. You can't find those notes. You can't. It's you know how to kind of get that work. Shooting. You have scenes which you don't really know why they should be there. That's the truth. And they're the ones that take the most takes. You're doing take after take with the actors. The actors are giving you a hard time because they can't work out what's really happening for the characters. It takes longer, it eats up your day of shooting, and then what happens in the cutting room, you throw it away. These things, including, you know, where to put the camera in a scene. You know the action, it's there, a person sitting at a table, there's like an infinite number of places to put a camera. I've had those problems. To some extent, the frustrations of those problems, you know, I've looked at books, triangular shooting tactics on a scene, you know, over the shoulder. I've used those. You look, and at the cutting stage, there's something missing. How can that be? It should have covered it. You know, at the National Film School, we did workshops about the method of working with actors. It should be that you've got enough tools here to, but constantly I was finding that frustration and those problems. I mean, even at the National Film School, it was great stuff. I had Mike Lee at one stage looking over my shoulder as I shot a film, and he said this one thing. It's fantastic. He said, "There's a moment here." Wow. And you know, it was a really good. I continued whenever I was directing to say this. There's a moment here where the guy comes through the door. I didn't know what the hell it meant. But these frustrations and the kind of problems that come out of these things led me on a journey. I decided to find out about this stuff. And I did it by setting up workshops and situations where I could do something which most directors don't get the chance to do. And that is to watch other directors. I sort of travelled the world, really, setting up small, experimental situations, sometimes where directors are shooting the same scene. So, for example, in Scandinavia, I worked a lot in Sweden and places, and then in Latin America, working with Cuban actors or something, the same scenes. What tools were they using? What were the things that were really... I didn't know whether I would come up with a solution or find an answer to these things. I just kept going. One of the cleverest things I did, and I partly did it because I hadn't done any features, I hadn't been out there and made my name, and when I was setting up these workshops, I introduced one rule, and that was, we won't discuss anything that's outside the room. So they couldn't say to me, what have you done? So that meant I could work with the highest level directors, or just beginners, street kids in Liverpool, just trying this out. At one stage, a blind director applied to be in one of these workshops. She could talk about character in such a strong way, I couldn't say no. So we changed the whole workshop so it would work for her. And I learned something from that. I mean, that's where the journey really led to some solid results. They're results that have allowed me to help directors. As I said, it's sometimes working with script, particularly some writer-directors. For example, I worked with a Belgian director who had they'd written the script and they'd been turned down by the funding. They had a week to come back with a new draft of the script. We worked for 2 days, applied some of these solutions, and they got their €1.5 million. The film's in Cannes this year, and you know, it's really good to help people, especially people who have their own script, to find out what's important in there, what's missing, what's can be added. The second sort of area is that I help design rehearsals. So an example of that would be, an English director who was doing a pilot TV series, very strong characters needed. They had to get the rehearsals right to get set up the characters. They went on to great success. In fact, the TV series was taken over to the United States and they redid it there. And their career went over to the States as well. So that's the kind of areas I'm able to use these solutions. one thing that I've learned, and it's kind of scary, is that things have changed. When I went to the National Film School, people wore cravats. I mean, you know, it was a gentleman's elitist game. That is no longer the truth. Shooting times are shorter, rehearsal times don't exist, you get one shot at this, everyone's out there with their shorts, there's no money in shorts, it's a different landscape. New sets of tools, those old ways, the intuitive ability to reshoot or have luxurious times with your actors in rehearsal to let them find the ways forward, that is no longer the case. It's a new world really, and new tools needed for that. What I'd like to really run through today is to share some of this solution.